Welcome to episode number 63 of the Between Two Brands podcast. Still your host, Bill Peacher. We are hurtling towards the end of the first quarter. It's March 27th. Can't believe it. We are already 3 months into 2026. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. And I think we've got a really fun program for you today. Program sounds so old school, doesn't it? I think we've got a fun episode for you today. Let's go that route. But before we get to it, why don't we go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? Hey, in 2026, your clients are looking for more than just a product with their logo on it. They're looking for rock solid merchandise solutions that are more than just innovative. They're going to be used for months and years to come. Now, let me introduce you, and maybe in a few cases, let me reintroduce you to our good pals over at Coaster Stone. They are the original manufacturer of absorbent stone coasters, and they have unmatched durability, quality, and gorgeous. I'm talking gorgeous edge-to-edge decorating that allow your creative ideas to come to life in vibrant, full-color detail. Now, since 1983, Coaster Stone has absolutely set the standard when it comes to delivering a retail-inspired experience to any client function. How about instead of boring and plain packaging, let's do some packaging options that are customizable. Coaster Stone delivers value far beyond the product itself. And now also, did you know they manufacture their pin back buttons right here in the USA? Well, they do, and they're an ideal, cost-effective, and fun piece of branded merchandise just about anywhere. Now, with that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, low cost per impression, and unmatched value, David Glenn and his team are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Now, email them at promo@coasterstone.com to start your next project today. All right, so as I always look for topics for the opening shot, I think I stumbled across something that I think all of us should kind of chime in on. I think most of you know LEAD is coming up from PPAI. That's Legislative Education and Action Day, where a group of about 50 to 70 promotional products professionals descend upon Washington, D.C. to talk about the efficacy of promotional products and advocate for small businesses through the lens of our industry. I'm fortunate enough to be one of those people again this year, and I'm excited to go. If you're paying attention, it's Tuesday, April 21st, so just a few weeks away. And I'm looking forward to that. But one of the issues we're going to be talking about is the value of made in the USA merchandise. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, it's hard to with all the news coming out all the time from Washington. Our president issued an executive order to make the enforcement of an existing rule a priority, especially online sales. What's that rule? Thank you so much for silently asking yourself. The rule prohibits the term made in the USA or made in America when a product fails to meet the standard of one of two things. One, all or virtually all is made in the United States. A little nebulous because you have the word virtually in there. And then number two, it's made using American-made components. Now, what they're doing is looking at very stiff penalties, and it applies to not only product labels, but the marketing of the product itself. Now, as it comes to our industry, it does get a little nebulous because I have a different take. Obviously, a lot of our product is made overseas, whether it's China or Honduras or India or Mexico, wherever. The actual physical product is produced elsewhere. But my take is that once it comes to the United States and a supplier or another decorator puts the decoration on it, whether it's a logo, a brand, a message, whatever it is, that's when the value is put into it in the product transform. So my assertion is that the value is really of the product is not the product itself. It's the creative that comes from here in the United States, for those of us in the United States. If you're in Canada, it would come from Canada, but we're talking about the USA here. So the creative comes from the United States. The decoration also done in the United States. And the jobs that do those things are right here in the United States. And the packaging might be in the USA. Depends on the supplier and all that, but it could be manufactured right here in the United States, especially if you're using a company like Warwick or Keepsake or a number of different places. The chest comes to mind as well. So there's really two products at play. The physical product, which let's say made in China, and then the decoration that's made and applied right here in the USA. And to me, in my way of thinking, That is where the value is added, and the simple product morphs into a marketing vehicle and therefore a different product. So you can make the argument that the value, in my opinion, you can and should make the argument that the value of a promotional product, the actual intrinsic value, is designed and created right here in the United States. So I want to ask you, does the addition of decoration fundamentally change the product to the point it becomes something else? I think so. I really do. I've really given this quite a bit of thought over the last few days as I was getting ready for this podcast. I really think so. And maybe it's time we move to, and I know there's people who hate Apple, and I get that. This is not I'm not attaboying Apple products here, but one of the marketing genius moves was designed in Cupertino, California for their iPhone or their most of their products, designed in Cupertino, California. What if we moved to something instead of made in the USA or made in America, imagined in the USA, designed in the USA? Maybe that would help alleviate some of these things because as the world becomes a true, and it really is a true global economy, I think we need to actually celebrate that and talk about the components that are made where. It's fine if the 20-ounce vacuum sealed tumbler is made in China. It becomes something completely different when it's imagined, designed, and decorated and delivered right here in the United States. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But before we get to my guest, I'm really excited about our guest today. I want to pay one more last bill if you don't mind. It's kind of like the last bill you find when you're online. Oh, got to pay this one too. You know what? I got to pay this one and I'm happy to. Hey, do you know what season it is? It's only spring, and thank goodness it's warming up. That's right, it's business valuation season. Now, perhaps you don't know what your company is worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since your last valuation, and you need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, maybe you want to see if it's time to sell your business. Now, regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and her team, the experts over at Certified Marketing Consultants, have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. All you need to do is email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, let's spring into our guest. Hey, my guest today, she doesn't need an introduction, but let's waste some of my time, your time, and frankly, her time by doing one anyway. Hey, she is the owner and CEO of Spark Branded Solutions right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud mom of two adorable kids. She entered the promotional products industry less than a year after college and quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a top salesperson and later serving as director of business development for multiple branded merchandise companies ranked in the industry top 100. Trust me, we'll get to that. Along the way, she helped countless brands elevate their marketing through thoughtful strategic merchandise that actually drove connections and impact. In 2022, she saw an opportunity to do things differently and launched Spark Branded Solutions with a mission to disrupt the traditional promo model and build a modern, high-performance branded merchandise agency focused on strategy, creativity, and service. And in just a few short years, Spark has become one of the fastest-growing companies in our space, surpassing 8 figures in revenue, attracting top industry talent. We'll get to that, I promise you as well, and earning a spot as number 72 on PPAI's coveted top 100 distributors list. Now, her leadership and innovation has earned her recognition, including being named a Rising Star in 2023, which is a really high honor in our industry. She also was recently named as one of the powerhouse women of promo. So to run my company, which we know she would fire me instantly, which makes her absolutely qualified to do it. With a background in broadcast journalism and a passion for storytelling, she loves helping brands connect with their audiences through branded merchandise that matters. Please join me in welcoming the lovely, the talented Chelsea Williams. Chelsea, thank you for doing this today.
Thanks so much, Bill. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. So I loved your intro, so thank you for providing that. You've done so much. I want to start off though with your industry journey. You started off at Imagination Branding. You went to ePromos and then Blink Marketing here in Nashville before you started Spark.
Mhm.
I want to know what lessons you learned along the way that really helped you form your vision for Spark.
Yeah, I worked at three really incredible companies. And so I started with Imagination Branding. I had been out of college less than a year. My background's broadcast journalism. So I actually did that. My whole life I wanted to be a news anchor, and I did it. And the pay was awful, the people were awful, the hours were awful, right? And so I quit. I stumbled into branded merch like most people do, and just really trusted the president of the company, who just told me, you're just going to have to hustle, and you're going to have to build a book of business, and you're going to have to work hard when
There's
your
still,
numbers are low and when no one's watching.
yeah, there's
And
still no substitute for hard work,
no,
believe it or
yeah, and
not.
it was really hard. I mean, I was 21 years old, and cold calling and getting told no way more often than I was told yes. And about 7 months in, I was like, this, I'm not going to be able to continue this.
Right.
And I was getting married. I was like, okay, as soon as I get back from my honeymoon, I'm going to have to start looking for a new job. Well, the week of my wedding, CMT, Country Music Television, called me. And I'd already had several meetings with them. They had not given me any opportunities. And their vendor dropped the ball. And they had about $100,000 to spend. And everything had to be delivered within 2 weeks for the CMT Awards. And I did it. And my team was amazing because they knew I was going to be on my honeymoon. I was getting married. They said, you do the sourcing, you put the orders in, and we will make sure everything, gets delivered by the time you get back. And that's when I was like, wow, this is amazing. I think I can do this.
That's amazing. You know what your story echoes a lot of people if they really sit back and think about it. It sounds like you could tell that story. You could frame it up as an overnight success. That, wow, it just happened one day. But the real reality of any overnight success is all the hours of toil and hard work and blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it. You get told no, you get roadblocks thrown in front of you, and you feel like you want to quit 15 times a day, but you keep at it.
Yeah,
I love that.
it was hard. I mean, I was basically living off of ramen noodles at that point in my life.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it's funny, my son, Mitch, is in Montgomery, Alabama, and he's pursuing his dream of being a sports broadcaster. And the hours are long. The pay is suboptimal, let's say. And so he's still dedicated to it, but he knows that he's got to put that time in if that's what he really wants to do. And he's in a relationship, but he's single. He's not getting married anytime soon. His girlfriend is going to medical school. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, but I love what your story is. That's great. You were on the second promo cruise, and I know during the time on that cruise, we had a lot of really, really good conversations. One of the things I love about that event, it's a dedicated 5 or 6 days where people just have these conversations. And one thing I really took away from you was you are truly a really incredible leader. I want to know what qualities you've modeled or you emulate to become the leader you are today.
yeah, I mean, I lead my company and I approach every day and every situation thinking, if I was in their shoes, how would I want to be talked to? How would I want my boss to handle this? Because I've had some really incredible bosses and I've had some really, really terrible bosses, right?
Yeah, there's
And
very rarely in between, by the way. It's usually
no, there's
really
not.
good or really bad. There's not a lot. It's like the disappearing middle class. It's either great or not great.
Yeah, yeah. And I've worked for some people who are very reactive and who speak before they think, and who I've been yelled at by a boss, which was completely unacceptable, and I told that person that at the time. But so that's how I lead Spark. And, I am a positive person. I am a glass half full person. And so every day I pour that into my team. Now, my husband, bless his heart, he has to listen to all the bad, but, for my team, I always want to be the person lifting them up and, seeing the good in everything.
Yeah.
And then, again, when problems happen or when things come up, just not being so reactive and focusing on best response instead of first response. And sometimes too, we all just need to take a minute. And sometimes I'll just go for a walk. I live right next to a greenway. If something happens and I know I have to address it and I have the urge to type an email or, hop on the phone with someone, just taking a minute, pausing, and thinking about, if I was in their shoes, how would I want this handled? So
Yeah.
I think that's, I'm not perfect, there have
Nobody
been,
is.
Nobody is, but that is something that I have grown tremendously at the last few years.
I love that because I think we're so hardwired to respond to things so quickly. React, like you said, react. I always joke with distributors who are like, they think they're going to get business because they're the fastest email responder in the West. You don't, responding in an hour or two and letting it sit and how you want to really approach it,
Hmm.
no one's going to think you're not responsive.
Hmm.
And if I can add to that, because I love the reactive, but I also think at least what I've experienced when I've had bad managers or bad bosses is a lack of decisiveness. There's a sweet spot there of I don't need you to react this second, but get back to me and tell me when you're going to get back to me and things like that. I've been with bosses who are just like, well, I still need to figure it out. Hey, we're burning daylight here. We also have to
Hmm.
make a decision, and there's never a perfect time to start anything, to make a decision, to have kids, to do any of these things. There's never a perfect time, but usually the right time is after you've thought about it, like you've said, but then be decisive.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm one of the most decisive people in the world. It took me all of 15 minutes to find my wedding dress. I tried on three. I was like, this is it. We don't have to try on anymore. Let's keep moving, and that's one great thing about Spark too, and having worked for some of those companies where there's so much red tape and so much indecisiveness and people scared to make decisions. We're going to do it. And if it doesn't work, we're going to adjust. It doesn't have to be this big deal. We
Yeah.
can try things and we can be firm in our decisions, and then we can make adjustments if it wasn't the right decision.
Yeah, I love that. You built a really great team at Spark, and one of your more recent additions, a mutual friend of ours, Amber Reese, is
Mhm.
fantastic. What do you look for when looking to add to your company? Obviously, you want them to know the industry or you want them to be able to work in the industry. Let's leave that out of it. I'm talking about from a culture perspective because you're building, in my mind, a truly unique and special culture at Spark.
Yeah. So I tell everyone we have the A team. We are a company of high performers. And what that means to me is number one, you're not set in your ways. Because we have collected these people with such diverse backgrounds and incredible industry experience. And I think we can all learn from each other, including me. I don't know the right way to do every single thing. So being able to be fluid and, open to change.
Mhm.
Number two, positivity. That's one of our core values because we're selling branded merch. What we do should be fun. You know, I think that some companies just take it so seriously and they suck the fun
Absolutely.
out of it.
Absolutely. I used to tell people, hey, we're not selling ball bearings or missile
Right.
parts. Smile a
Right.
little.
Yeah. And then having that drive
Hmm.
and being a high performer, not someone I have to micromanage,
Yeah,
not someone who I am constantly having to push to do things when I'm not watching.
agreed.
And every single person on my team is just incredible and they hold themselves to such a high standard and it elevates everyone on the team.
Yeah, the second I have to micromanage somebody, it's over.
Yeah.
And I have a thousand flaws as a human, as a manager, as a leader, just like everybody else. But one of them is for me, once I have to micromanage you, it is almost impossible to come back. I've never
Yeah.
seen someone take that extra direction. Now I've got to burn calories. I've got my own stuff to do, but now I've got to burn calories, making sure you're doing your job. That is really a non-starter for me. And one of the things I always love too, and I love your approach, that the positivity and that you don't know everything. Too many people, I think, feel like, well, I've elevated to this position, I started this company or whatever, I know what I'm doing. And I've always had the same approach as you is I'm not even sure how I got here, but I need all the help I can get. And
Yeah.
so I always really, when I was hiring, when I was running Promo Corner or whatever, I always made sure to hire. I tried to focus on people younger than me because they would always bring fresh ideas, fresh perspectives. Because I, age is a funny thing. I'm 56. I don't feel it. I'll probably look at, but I need those fresh perspectives, and I always find working with people who have radically different backgrounds than I do, radically different experiences than I have, just because they grew up in a different time, help keep my mind active and fresh.
Yeah. And it's kind of the opposite at Spark. So I'm the second youngest person on the
Yeah.
team. I'm 34. Most of my team are in their somewhere between their late 40s and mid 50s. So again, all of us have these incredible
Yeah.
backgrounds, and being open to change and
I
being
love
open
that.
to, you've seen incredible success doing this, but the industry is moving this way. Okay, how do we combine those two things?
Right. No, I love that. I love you have a young looking forward to experience approach. And I've always had experience. I'm looking for fresh. I love that. I love both. You have a young family, and being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. I always say a lot of people have the ambition to be an entrepreneur, but they don't have the stomach for it. I was in that boat for a long time. How do you balance having that young family and being an entrepreneur with the difficulty, the sacrifices, and all that?
Yeah. I mean, Bill, when I launched Spark, Hudson, my baby, he was 9 months old. Harper was 3. And I launched Spark. Why most people go into business for themselves, right? They're just tired of working for someone else. They want to do it
Right.
their way. I never thought it would turn into this so quickly. Um, and I will be the first to say, you can't have it all. Sometimes you really have to lean into work. Sometimes you really have to lean into family. But something I'm really good at doing is setting boundaries. So, my work hours are typically between 8 and 4:30, and I have a very hard stop at 4:30. My team knows that. I do have my phone on me in case of emergency. I'll spot check emails throughout the night, but unless it's an emergency, you're not going to hear from me until 8 in the morning.
Kind of goes back to that. We're selling promotional products here. We
Right.
don't need to be on call 24/7.
Right. Right. And, I only get a couple hours a night with my kids. My kids go to bed at 7.
Yeah.
So if I have to log back on, which I mean, last night I did,
Yeah.
I was on vacation with my family last week, so I'm paying for that. But I think that it should be on my time and not on their time, because Bill, you and I talked about this when we were on a panel for PPAI a few years ago.
Yeah.
Your kids are only young once, and then
Yep.
when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying I don't go on work trips or go to conferences, but I don't say yes to everything. I'm not a road warrior. I try to be gone a night, max 2, outside of a couple special things a year, because I want my kids to know, they're important to me.
Yeah. No one ever looks back and says, "Man, I wish I would have gone to more conferences."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
I really wish I would have stayed in that Hampton Inn in Omaha a couple more nights. That would have been really awesome. Nobody does. I love that. And boundaries, love that. And it's something I've had to learn the hard way. And I've had to rewire my brain, to the point where I turn off my email during the day because I need to get work done. I'll check it every 2 or 3 hours. And then on my phone, I have no work notifications on my phone at all. I'll check email when I want to, but as I always tell my kids, and I'm holding my cell phone, this is for your convenience, not everybody else's. And so I've really adopted that. So I don't think any one of my clients would say, "You're not responsive." I am very responsive, but I do it on my terms.
Yeah.
And it's never out of bounds of what my clients' expectations are.
I agree. I don't have push notifications on my phone either.
It's
I have access to
delicious.
them so I can go check them. But
Yeah.
also, as leaders, our job is to stay focused and to lead the vision and to work on these big things, not the everyday stuff. And if I don't have that time to stay focused, I'm never going to be able to drive Spark forward.
Well, and I think what you're doing is something I wish I had done, right? We all start looking back, you get to a certain age, you look back, oh, I would have done that a little differently, or I wish I had taken advantage of that. One of the things you're doing right now is really modeling for your kids. You're saying you're important to me. And I unfortunately I don't think I did a great job at that. I think my wife did a much better job, but I think I was always like, I got to go do work. I've got to do email because I wanted to provide for my family so much. So my intentions were good, but as my dad used to say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so looking back, I wish I had adopted the mindset I have now, the mindset that you have much earlier.
Yeah. And I think part of that too, let's be real, Bill, a lot of women are the default parent, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of that extra falls on us. And I'm so lucky I've worked remote for 7 or 8 years. My husband has an 1.5-hour commute every day, each way. So a lot of that slack does fall on me. And it's not any fault of his.
It's just an is.
It just
life.
Is. Yeah. So, having that hard stop so that I can go get the kids. I can cook dinner every night.
Well, and and I know you don't, but I'm talking about the three people who are listening. You can't underestimate the power and the value of having a partner that
Yeah.
is completely all in and
Yeah.
supportive of you. I started Brandivate in July of 2020. Something might have been going on. Maybe there was a pandemic.
Maybe.
I don't know. And it was, I quit a job to do it. I had a good paying job.
Yeah.
And my kids were entering their senior year of high school, so college was right on the horizon. Again, I don't make smart decisions. I think I just made the case for that. But having Sandy, who was go for it, we're all in. All of us are all in. There's so much I can't explain the value of that.
Yeah. I mean, my husband is my biggest cheerleader. I still have a sticky note on my desk from I was going back and forth. I was with you, I have a
Mhm.
paying job. I, I'm going to quit. I'm going
Yeah.
to start from zero. What should I do? And he wrote me this sticky note that stays on my desk and it says, "You can do anything and everything. I'm so proud of you. I love you."
Oh, I love that.
And
That's
so I
fantastic.
look at it every single day and I'm like going to tear up talking about it. But, we're high school sweethearts. We've been through all phases of life
Yeah.
with each other. And truthfully, I don't think either one of us would be where we are if we didn't have each other to push each other and make each other better.
I guarantee it. All right. We mentioned the cruise, we mentioned the promo cruise, and I know you had a horrific Disney cruise a few
Oh,
months ago, and you have made the very bold declaration: we are not a cruise family, which I think is great. I love that. But what do you do to truly relax, to unplug, to unwind, to disconnect? Because we all need that disconnection time so that
yep.
when we come back to work, we can be creative, we can be decisive and do all the things. What do you do?
Yeah. So I am an outside person, which is not to be confused with an outdoor person, because my favorite thing is to sit on my back patio while my kids are running around, maybe drinking a mocktail. But we also love to hop down to the beach and just sit on the beach. I don't know, something about the waves and the sand are really healing to me. So I try to hop down there at least every month or two, even if it's just for a long weekend. Um, my husband's in professional sports, not an athlete on the administration side.
Right.
So even though that's his job, that's a really fun outlet for us to be able to go and take the kids. We're going to a match this weekend, and it's actually Hudson, my 4-year-old's first match, which is going to be
That's
really exciting
wonderful.
because he's going to get to see Daddy on the field, and
That's
again,
fun.
just being present with my family
Yeah.
and with my husband. We also a few times a year take a vacation without the kids. Maybe
You
it's a
got
long
to.
weekend. This year, it's actually going to be 10 days. I can't even believe it.
Good for you.
We're going to Italy. So just being fully present because my love language is quality time.
Yeah.
And when I'm present. That phone, I'm not looking at it. My notifications are off. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm sure you and your husband will have a great time in Italy. I'd love, yeah, totally get that. And yeah, we always felt it was important to prioritize our time as well,
Yeah.
and have time without the kids, because
Yeah.
without that foundation,
And
it's
you guys have twins. I mean,
you.
I can't even imagine. At least ours were spaced out a couple of years. It's still hard, but twins.
Yeah, we didn't know any better, and we still don't know any better. I don't know what it's like to have two kids that are 2.5 years apart. To me, that seems like complete chaos. You have their interests are somewhat similar, but they're old enough to be they're separated enough by years to be different. To me, that just melts my brain. But again, we didn't know any better, so we had the
Yeah.
two, and it's been a ride for sure. No, they're great kids. They're
Yeah.
absolutely great kids. So.
That's awesome.
Is there anything you want to talk about before we say goodbye?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I'm just so honored to be on your podcast.
Uh,
And I really believe that this industry is going great places. I love the leadership at PPAI and how they're really trying to elevate us, and not be the tchotchke, the trinkets and trash
yeah.
industry, and tie more into that strategic marketing and focus on, which is Sparks value prop is merch that matters. And
Yeah.
I just think there's so much opportunity for young people who are entering this industry, veterans who've been here for a while and who are looking at ways to grow.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. I wake up every day and I cannot wait to see what we're adopting and what we're moving towards. And it's just awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you again. And this episode of Between Two Brands has been brought to you by the good folks over at Coaster Stone, home of the original absorbent stone coaster with that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, low cost per impression, retail packaging, and unmatched value. David Glenn and his team at Coaster Stone are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Email them at promo@coasterstone.com today. Chelsea, you've said it all. Perhaps you've said too much. Who knows? We'll have to do this again sometime. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Bill.
you being on.
Thank you.